fuck around and find out where the groove is forever and the legacy lives on. So today we have a special guest and Penny Two Cents. If you'd like to introduce our guests, that would be great.
We're so excited. We've been waiting for this for such a long time. So, listen, if everybody has jumped up and started dancing to the song Fantastic Voyage, you felt that beat in your chest and you just wanted to continue to groove. So you already know who we're getting ready to talk about today. So he is the founder, he is a legend. He is the defined funk music. He doesn't just play it. We want to welcome Mr. Stephen Shockley to fuck around and find out.
Woo!
Hey,
Thank
hey,
you,
hey,
thank you.
hey,
Thank you. Welcome.
hey, hey.
Hey.
I'm,
We're
I'm
so
happy to be here
excited.
with y'all
Yeah,
crazy
sorry.
girls.
I know, right? It's how it works. Thank you for joining. We really appreciate it. Taking the time out of your busy day to come and talk to Funk Around and find out. So, Mr. Shockley,
Yeah.
we're just going to get a little bit about your background and where you started off and what was your first band that you worked for and who you supported back in the day.
Well, back in the day, you know, I didn't idolize any particular guitar player because there were so many fabulous guitar players here in Dayton. You know,
Wow.
so I didn't have like following Jimi Hendrix and all of those guys. The guys around here in Dayton, like Sugarfoot and Roger Trotman, and all of these guys were bad dudes.
Right.
So you didn't have to look far to find a mentor. You
Oh,
know, my
wow.
mentor was a,
Really?
my mentor was a left-handed guy named Boots, and I learned from him. But he was left-handed, but he played a right-handed guitar, so I had to learn how to play backwards virtually.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So that became my style actually, because when you hear something about that woman,
Hmm.
I'm picking the guitar backwards. That's why it's kind of difficult for
Interesting.
people to play it because I'm playing backwards. That I learned from watching this left-handed guitar player. Right, when I learned how to play chords, I was learning backwards.
Really. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
take a
wow.
look now, pay more attention to that.
and and same way with "And the Beat Goes On"
Hmm.
and songs like that. That little picking thing. I'm actually doing a lot of stuff backwards. You know,
Interesting.
but
So,
as a group, Lakeside, we were kids, and we in high school we got tagged to open for James Brown, and that was our first professional concert.
Oh, wow.
Uh, we were pretty popular in Dayton, Ohio.
mhm.
We were called the Young Underground. Dun, dun, dun.
I love it.
We got that idea because we wanted to, Funkadelics was out, and that was an interesting name, Funkadelics. Everything was
Mhm.
underground sounding, so
Right, right.
we we went for the underground sound. Yeah, the Young Underground. We were bad.
Hmm.
But then they made us drop that name when we won a local regional talent show for a record deal with Curtis Mayfield up in Curtom Records. And when we got up there, the record company folded. And so uh, here's an interesting thing. Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey, who did all the Natalie Cole stuff,
Hmm.
were tagged to write songs for us. And that cut they well, Eddie Thomas, the second half of Curtom Records, formed his own company called Lakeside. And so when he did that, we were kind of looking out his office window and we could see a building called the Lakeside Express. So we became the Lakeside Express
I like that. I like that.
on, on Lakeside Records. However, um, that didn't get off the ground. The company didn't get off the ground. So the writers, and Yancey and no, Marvin Yancey and Chuck Jackson and this lady um, formed their own group with those songs, and they were called the Independents. And then
Interesting.
the Independence, that stuff went gold.
Wow.
They got
Really?
a gold album off of that stuff. I saw them on Soul Train. I said, man, we was gonna sing that song. So we went out to California by way of Oklahoma. We got fired from a club. We was just playing too loud.
Mhm.
It was kind of too big for that club, so we went out to California, and we only had less than $100, like,
Mm,
you
Mm.
know. But we didn't care. I guess we
I
knew
guess you didn't.
back in the back of your head if we
It's like
really,
leaping out on faith.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we really got in trouble, some parents would bail us out, if necessary. But unfortunately, we didn't even have to use the parent card. We got a gig kind of immediately because I had called ahead to this club that I had played at with a grown man band when I was a kid. I was playing with this group called the Monterey's. I saw a record on sale on eBay. It cost $1,100. We made a we made a local record,
Hmm.
and it popped up on eBay not too. It's been a couple of years ago, and they wanted
That's
1,100.
huge.
I said, nah, that's all
Yeah.
right. But anyway, we end up playing behind everybody that came through the club. That
Hmm.
was the day when Red Fox and all of them were in the
Hmm.
nightclubs doing the comedy.
Nice.
And so that's why
Mm.
his most of the people that's on Sanford and Son, that was a comedy team.
Hmm.
You had Leroy Skillet and Lawanda.
Oh, wow.
Lawanda Tate. Yeah, she was good. They were funny, but I had to play behind them. It was kind of raunchy, and stuff. Then we did the strip club era down in
Gotta do
California.
what you gotta do, right? Make
Yeah,
money.
and I had to stay in the dressing room though. I was too young.
Since you guys are underage, yeah, okay.
They were grown; they could stay out there, but I had to stay in the. Uh, there's a double-edged sword to that because when you're in a club like that, it's how many dressing rooms is it?
One. One. Right.
So they had to get dressed by way of going past me because I'm in the
I
dressing
love
room.
it. I love it.
You know, so we went through that. And I came back home in '69, and they wanted to continue going on the road. So
Hmm.
I started another band. I found Norman Beavers and his brother, and that's when we started the Young Underground. You know,
Okay.
because they fired me because I was too young. They wanted to continue going to play. You
Hmm.
know, and
Hmm.
I had to go back to school.
Of course.
However, that didn't sit well because I had outgrown everybody in class.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had done the nightclub circuit, strippers, all the whole, you know, I'd seen it all. And these kids were still throwing paper.
Right. And spitballs.
You spitballs. I was like, oh no, I got to get out of here. Plus, they didn't teach guitar in schools back then. Now you
Mhm.
can get guitar anywhere in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back then, they tried to make me play a trombone. I said, I don't think I'm playing no trombone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. You
trombone
So,
can't
doesn't get the
you can't
you can't
catch
get the
girls with
bass.
you can't get I was gonna say that
You can't
exactly.
get bass with a trombone.
no, no, no. I had a trombone player, and his neck was popping out and stuff. He'd been playing. No, his lips was funny.
Mm.
I said, nah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. So uh, I I ended up uh, playing with the Young Underground. We started growing. Norman and Vincent, they were in a pretty good band, and they
Hmm.
started. I was surprised when they quit their band and came and hooked up with me
Hmm.
because they were in a band that was doing all right around Dayton.
Right.
But
Right.
we all hooked up. Um, we was intimidated. Well, my buddy that I grew up with had a group called the Nomads, and it had all our neighborhood guys in it, and they were a singing group. I went to see him. I said, "Woo, y'all pretty. They throwing down." And Mark Woods had just joined the group,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so he was singing like David Ruffin when he was little.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
he had the same voice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we really blew up. We started blowing up around Dayton, and then finally, like I said, we changed our name to Lakeside, and when we came back to Dayton, we kept the name because there was a roller coaster park and everything here in Dayton called Lakeside Park. So, and that's where we always hung out at. So we just kept the name. And they had a train that ran around it called, I
Uh-huh.
think it's Lakeside Express. So we
Nice.
kept that name, Lakeside Express. Then we went up to California, man. And I remember we parked on Sunset Boulevard and we was walking down Sunset. Uh, and we didn't know where we were, so we was at the top of Sunset. And we walked all the way down through Hollywood. And I remember passing Dick Clark
Mm-hmm.
Productions. And I said, man, Dick Clark Productions, look at that. And I said, we're going to get on there. We're going to get Dick Clark. So we just kept kicking around. And then one time Motown let us, when I'm skipping over stuff,
That's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
but
We love your stories.
when we was playing at the same club that I played at when I was a kid, they
Mm-hmm.
let us come and audition, and they ended up letting us be the house group there at the same club with the Lakeside.
Mm-hmm.
And so we was broke, so he would let us clean up the club and sleep in there. Uh,
Wow.
we would sleep in the club and then play that that night, and then the club closed. We clean it up, sleep in the booth. You know, that's how it was.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so Norman, him and his brother had a cousin that played in this group called the Love Machine, and she was. They were the Pussycat Dolls before the Pussycat Dolls,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Mm.
Like that, yeah. And they were playing at Maverick Flats on Crenshaw. If my lip look funny, y'all, I had a surgery here. That's why I got this beard. It's kind of hiding it, and it's making it's healing up, but it's tight, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
drawing on my lip. But um, Norman and Vincent went around there and said, "Hey, that's my cousin in that picture." And so he went in the club and asked, "Could we come in there and audition at Mavericks Flats?" Now that was like a black yuppie club, and all
Okay.
the stars kids hung out there, and they didn't sell alcohol. It was like a teenage type thing, you know. And so he got John Daniels to come around there and look at us, and we
Mm-hmm.
auditioned for him. He brought a couple of Love Machine with him, and we was like, "Damn!" So he
Love
ended
it.
up he ended up letting us open for the Love Machine,
Okay.
right, at Mavericks Flats.
Mm-hmm.
Now they was traveling a lot. The Love Machine, they did Vegas a lot
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, and went overseas all the time. So we ended up taking over when they left, and man, we got held over for 5 months. We were playing.
Really
We had lines
nice. Very nice.
down the street and around the corner. It was long
Nice.
lines. It was a
So,
trip because we were so different.
right. So, what made Lakeside set themselves apart from other people that had that line that was, that held you guys up for 5 months? What was it different than any other band that was out there?
Yeah. Well, see, that was the Sunshine State. They had people like the Fifth Dimension
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
Friends of Distinction, and
Mm-hmm.
more pop type singing black groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Davis Eating Bread. That was the name of the band. And so they didn't have any street bands.
Hmm.
We was like roughnecks compared to what they were. So um, we got a following. it's a weird story to that line around the street thing, line down the street and around the corner. That's when we first found out that girls look at men like men look at girls.
Okay.
Right?
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, we didn't know. So I'm gonna tell you the story, but it's true.
Okay.
Uh, we were all bunking out. We had a apartment we rented the band house, and we just all slept there. You know, you chose your corner to sleep in. You had a sleeping bag, whatever, and we would sleep in this apartment. But laundry and all that kind of stuff, that was a non-starter, is how they say. So we started like if we had to get still new underwear, right? Because we couldn't wash clothes and stuff. So
Right.
um, there came a point when we just didn't wear any, and and that's when the lines started getting longer.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Hey, let me tell you, we was Chippendales before Chippendales.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
and like I said, that's when we learned that women be looking at guys, like that.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We thought we was just the only ones doing the chasing and staring and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, we didn't wear undergarments in our little spandex clothes. And man, they started announcing us on the radio, Sexy Soul Unlimited. I said, Sexy Soul Unlimited? I didn't even know what that meant. The K Day radio station at Mavericks Flat this weekend, Sexy Soul Unlimited. I said, oh.
Wow.
And then a couple of girls started telling us about ourselves. Hey, y'all need to put on some underwear and stuff. But that's a true story, and
Right.
but our skills, we were talented. We
Hmm.
were way talented at that. So we got the opportunity to open for Eddie Kendricks
Mm,
down
Wow.
down at this club called the Crenshaw Palace. And there's some other Motown groups
Hmm.
on the show, but
Nice.
they let us open, and that was
Wow.
it.
Wow.
So we beat up on everybody, and Motown came and signed us.
Hmm.
They said, "Ooh,
mm.
yeah," they signed us right away. And so we was with Motown, but they didn't know what to do with us. It was like, should we produce them like the Commodores, a band, or should we produce them like the Temptations? Because we were a singing group in a band, right?
Right. Right.
And so that happened to us twice. Nobody really knew what to do with us. Because so Motown ended up not putting in anything out on. I think we cut one record, and
Mm.
it wasn't really us. It's a pretty good ballad on the other side, but the A side sucked. And
Mm.
so we Dick Griffey, we had ran into him, and he became our manager. And so we went over to ABC Records. That's where Shaka Khan and them was, and
Hmm.
Lenny Williams,
Mm.
and they were there. So we went over there, and we cut a whole album. But soon as the first single came out, If I Didn't Have You, it got on the Billboard charts, and then the record company folded. They closed that division. And
Wow.
so once again,
Sorry.
so,
So
so like,
terrible.
but while we were there, um, we had, I'll say the singers, because they were doing all the singing. You know, we couldn't read music, so that's another thing. We couldn't read music, so the producers, they always wanted to have music charts and stuff.
Right.
And so I didn't get to play on our stuff. None of us really, except our conga player,
Hmm.
you know, because it wasn't our stuff anyway. It was like they wrote that crap. But anyway, um, while we were there, we was singing background for everybody, like Lenny Williams. Um, that record,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hey, that's us in the background.
Really? That is awesome.
Yeah, cause I
I
love
love it.
you. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
did not know that. That's awesome.
we did a lot of that. We played songs behind Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis and um, Leslie, who had just left New Birth, was doing a solo thing, and we sung background on his stuff.
Hmm.
So our singers were really good singers. You know, we were like the OJs and all of that kind of
Right.
stuff. And that's the way we thought we were going to be, you know.
Yeah.
And then Dick Griffey, Norman Whitfield, who had his record company, Whitfield Records, and he had Rolls Royce and Stargard and
Hmm.
all them over there. And then there was Lonnie Simmons, who had the Gap Band and Yardbirds and People in there. So
Some great names.
there was a little bidding war going on for us, you know,
Hmm.
these record companies. And so we knew Whitfield. We was kind of aiming toward Whitfield's way, but he had one problem. He wanted us just to be the players and do our thing, and he do all the songwriting and producing. His crew, and we was like, I think we've been seeing that movie a couple of times. Why don't we try to write our own songs? And then we were encouraged more by the fact that Ohio players was banging, and they was writing their own stuff, and
Hmm.
Roger and Zapp and them was writing their own stuff.
Right.
So we got George Clinton and them. We need to write our own stuff. And so Whitfield wouldn't do it. Well, Dick Griffey came in and said, "Well, look, I'm starting a record company with Don Cornelius and Soul Train, and I want y'all to come there. And y'all come over there. I'll at least let you write half of the stuff. And in case y'all don't know what y'all doing, I got the other half of the album to do some hits,
Nice.
you know."
Nice.
And we said, "Hey, that's a start. That's good. We'll take that." But problem was, it's like Dick Griffey ain't never been no record company man, and who's producing it, and who's gonna? Because I understand Whitfield's thing. If you ain't never wrote songs before, how can I give you a contract and say you can
Hmm.
write your own stuff?
Right. Right.
And Dick knew the same thing, but he did offer half. Y'all can have half the album, and if you don't know what you're doing, uh, then I got the
Hmm.
other half because he knew a lot of. In fact, he was the man who put artists on Soul Train. You know, he booked the artists on Soul Train.
Nice. I didn't know that
Oh,
either.
okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's why Lakeside was on there every album we ever made. We've been on Soul Train 10 times.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been on
That is
Soul Train
nice.
10 times.
That's a
And so,
trivia question.
huh?
I said that's a trivia question. People didn't know that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've been on there 10 times.
Probably the
And
most people that ever been on Soul Train.
we was up there. The Whispers may have
Whispers, I was gonna say,
they,
yeah.
they might have us beat because
Right.
they was with Dick longer than us.
Hmm.
The reason you know how we met Dick Griffey? He was down at the club on Crenshaw. He had a club called Guys and Dolls. And I think it became the apartment nightclub. I don't know, something like that.
Hmm.
And we walked in off the street, barnstorming. Hey man, can we open for the Whispers? I mean, just off the
Really
street. And then
nice.
he's like, "Oh yeah, y'all, nah, y'all can't open for the Whispers." And then, why y'all think we're gonna kick their ass?
Right, right.
But we was bluffing. You know, we know we can't
But
deal with
it
the
worked.
Whispers.
Yeah.
We can't deal with the Whispers. Whispers
Mm.
wiped the floor with us at that time. But uh, what it did is made him come around and steal the group
Okay.
immediately. It was
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
okay, because when we only played a song or two and got kicked off, you know, And so, but he came around the next day and said, "Hey, um, I want to manage y'all. I'm starting a record company too, you know." Anyway,
Nice.
and so he let us in, and he said, "I'm gonna put this little young cat with you. Y'all know the Silvers. I'm gonna put Leon Silvers with you." And then I smiled because I knew we was a singing group, and the
Mm-hmm.
Silvers was a singing group, and
Right.
Leon knew all about harmony and singing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Okay, that's a good idea." And plus, we got the roughneck with Leon. You know, we didn't have to be all stuck up or nothing.
Yeah.
So we went on in there, and or we had a little rehearsal hall that we had rented over a liquor store, and it was called Doodoo Records. We called it Doodoo Records because it was just doodoo. You know, I mean, we had a tape recorder, and we had to bounce the track so many times it
Wow.
just sound like doodoo.
Right.
But that's how we came up with All the Way Live. You know, we was in there, and Sugar Hill Gang was happening, and we was, hey man, we gonna do some rap. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and we said we're singing, we ain't doing no rap, you know. But
Right.
Fred Lewis was like, he was more into the funk and into the hip hop that was coming out. It wasn't even called
Right.
hip hop yet, I don't think. But anyway, and so he was over there playing with a synthesizer and trying to play the Sugar Hill Gang. Hip hop,
Right.
and then I started playing guitar along with him, just playing around. And next thing you know, he had a hook. It's all the way live, you know. And it was like, wow. But we didn't like it really because it wasn't us, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we spent a lot of time up in Seattle. And the first time we ever heard that saying all the way live came from Seattle,
Oh.
Oh,
you know.
wow.
Yeah. So so Fred was singing it, and the group sung the harmonies, and we would have a listening session, and Dick Griffey would sit down and listen to all the songs we came up with, and pick say this sound pretty good. This a yeah, and so he liked All the Way Live, and we was like, ugh. I'm like, really?
Who knew?
All right. And then so we recorded it, and Leon Silvers made it actually professional sounding. He showed us
Right.
how to record because we had never recorded in the studio, you know,
Mm.
as a band. Yeah, you know, like I
Okay.
said, the singers had they
Mm-hmm.
sung behind a lot of stuff, but as a whole unit, we were always worried that a record company was going to take the singers and not the band. You know,
Mm.
and,
Right.
and
Right.
in fact, Don Cornelius asked us that on signing day in our face. He said, "I got a question. Why is the singer signing the band? I mean, because you know the Whispers, they have a backup band, you know, and
Right.
their backup band ain't signed to the contract. It's just the Whispers. So why are y'all signing the band?" And Dick Griffith's like, "Man, be quiet, man. Shut up, fool. You know, they want to split their money between nine niggas. All right.
Right. Right. Right. Right.
You know, I'm signing the whole group. Really.
Well, let me
Right.
ask you a question. At that time, who were the singers?
It was Mark Wood, Tommy Shelby, T-Mar McCain, and Otis. No, was Otis there? Yeah, Otis was there at this point. Yeah,
Okay.
Otis. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's everybody that you know. T-Mar, he went on to become a pastor. So
Okay.
and we still keep in touch. But that was the group, and they could sing. And we had a great. They had a great vocal coach in high school too. You know, so they were legitimate.
Right. Right.
So next thing you know, we recorded all the way live, and I started. That's when okay, playing guitar. I always wanted to be a fabulous guitar player, but once
Mm-hmm.
I got to Solar,
Mm-hmm.
I really stopped the quest for being a virtuoso guitar player and just used it really to write songs with. I
Mm,
started writing songs then. I mean, I still played the guitar. Don't get me
right,
wrong.
right,
We play it all the time, but I the interest of becoming a solo artist or a Jimi Hendrix or something
right, right.
that I wasn't into that anymore. I was more into songwriting and producing records because I was learning it from Leon. I was
Wow.
up under Leon
Mm-hmm.
and trying to learn, studio.
Right.
And so once we turned in All the Way Live and the rest of the album, I wrote the song Giving Into Love. That was my first time trying to write. And and I was like,
Fantastic
see,
song.
Leon know how to put it into professional.
Mm-hmm.
He made it professional sounding, you know.
That's my song. I love that song, Stevie.
Well,
Beautiful.
I
that's
do.
cool.
Tanya and I listened to it the other night, and I was like,
Yeah. Yes.
And Giving Into Love, a funny story about that. We got down to Louisiana in Baton Rouge, and we were gonna play this club because All the Way Live was banging at this time. And one of the waitresses said, "Y'all gonna play that Giving Into Love tonight?"
ooh,
And we was
Wow.
like, "Really?" We didn't
Mm,
even know. We
really?
hadn't put it. We hadn't put it in the show or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to learn it. No, because she said, "Oh, y'all ain't getting out of here without playing that." I'm gonna tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't realize that song was a smash down there,
Right. Yeah.
all across the South. You know, we didn't even know it. We just thought it was all the
ah,
way live. You know,
Of course.
so we breaking our neck trying to learn "Giving in the Love" at the sound check. you know,
Oh,
and we
that's
played
funny.
that night, and girls absolutely lost their mind.
Of course. It's a
We
beautiful
didn't know.
song. Right.
well, can I tell you, Stevie? They still lose their mind when they hear it.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
that was one time when I really realized the power of songwriting. Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't know. It's always so surprising when you don't know, you know.
Right. Right.
And when the girls started screaming, we was like, "Oh my God, we got a hit," you know.
That's
But
crazy.
All the Way Live stayed on the chart so long that Giving in the Love didn't get a chance to really come out because people
Hmm.
already had it, you know.
Right.
And it was an old record by the time it was time to come
Right.
out. But anyway, that was a good thing, man. They Giving in the Love. But Dick Griffey, we were complaining about All the Way Live before he put it out. We was like, man, that ain't really us. We was more the
Hmm.
backup singers and all of that.
Right.
And he said, well, I'm gonna send it out to all the DJs and see what they say, what they pick. And it came back unanimous for All the Way Live.
Nice.
Mm.
Dick
That was
said,
my all-time favorite song. I used to sing that all the time. All the time. All the time.
Dick said, well, uh, the DJs want All the Way Live, and I think that's
Hmm.
a good move. And uh, you know, you might have an idea what your concept is, but concepts don't sell records. Records do. And so if the public gonna tell you what your concept is, and that's when we turned into a funk band. We
See,
was not
that's
Wow.
awesome.
we was not a funk band before All the Way Live.
Wow.
Wow. That's funny
Nowhere
because
near
that's what my
that.
question was is what was your musical vision for Lakeside? And
I mean, we was
there
gonna
you
be the
go.
Dramatics, the Temptations, or some Earth, Wind and Fire. Somebody who's really singing. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Ironically, because in fact, we was almost embarrassed to be a funk band because we knew what funk bands were. You
Hmm.
know, George Clinton and
Mm.
Zapp and them players,
Right.
them funk,
Right.
Confunction,
Hmm.
Marquez.
Right.
We wasn't doing that, you know.
Hmm.
We got some singing group on top of some funk.
Right. Right. Right.
So we got ourselves pop funk. We was more like
Mm.
pop funk.
Right.
I didn't want to even say we were funk band because it was almost embarrassing compared to the people who were really
Mm,
funk bands.
right.
It's like me walking in a country place and saying, I'm a country singer, and then you ain't never sung no country.
Right, right.
There's real country singers. And it was almost like that, we ain't got a funk record and we ain't even a funk band. That's weird.
Right.
But but we learned
Mm-hmm.
under the barcades, literally,
Mm-hmm.
because we was our first concert tour is the barcades headlining with Evelyn King, us,
Mm.
and I think Rolls Royce. Yeah, I think that
Oh,
was
that's
I
a
got
great
the
lineup. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Was like, what of all the performances that you did stood out? So was it the first one, or with Evelyn Champagne King and Barcades, or do you have another one that stood out more than anything?
woo. It's funny. When you get to stage, your mind only remembers the good ones, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I remember the most, the event, was being forced to go on after Stevie Wonder at the Rose Bowl
Wow.
in front of 100,000 people. Man, that was terrorizing.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that
Stevie
was terrorizing.
Wonder. Well,
Yeah,
I wonder what your nerves was like when you stepped on after Stevie Wonder. How do you match that after Stevie Wonder? I mean, goodness.
well, we actually chickened out at first. When they asked us to do it, we chickened out because we figured we just came out and that's going to be a career runner, you know. Uh,
I guess so. That makes sense.
and it was 100 miles, 100 degrees outside, and it was like real hot.
Right.
And actually, Ashford and Simpson was on the show, and the Whispers was on the show, and a couple of other people, and they were all sitting around waiting for to see what position Stevie Wonder was going on in,
Hmm.
and they wanted to get in front of him,
Right.
right?
Right.
So when it was announced that Stevie is going on at 6 o'clock, that's how we got booted off the front because we was the opening act. And
Wow.
so when everybody started jockeying to get in front of him,
Hmm.
they had more power than us. So
Hmm.
they kicked us off then, and then we were told that, well, we could take that spot after Stevie Wonder, or can't be on the show. And so we were saying, well, when Stevie
Pressure.
Wonder, when Stevie Wonder come off, they're gonna be walking out. They've been sitting out here
Exact. Right. I
all
was
day.
going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, we were gonna be the walkout act. I said, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. So we all kind of chickened out, and then till we realized we ain't never chickened out in our life, and we said, man, we're gonna go ahead and do this.
Right.
Now, the catch was Stevie Wonder knew who we were because we was at Motown, right? So, and we got a chance to stand around his car when he first was putting out "I Wish," and we
Mm.
got to listen to the final mix, standing around his Rolls Royce,
Oh,
because we
nice.
was we was going to the studio right after him.
Hmm.
So we was
Nice.
standing in his car listening to "I Wish." It was kicking ass. We're like, whoa.
Mm.
So he remembered us, and he started singing about us when he was leaving the stage. Stick around. He
Oh,
told all the people to stick around and stuff and check out this
Hmm.
group.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then it turned out to be like all the groups that went on in the daytime, they didn't get the advantage of the lights and the, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
and it made us look like the
Right.
star.
Nice.
Or we was the new Jackson 5 or
Right.
somebody,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Hmm.
And and we had all the lights and everything, man. And so the crowd stayed, and we did a good show. So Budweiser, they said, "Man, this is a bad group. We're gonna." They booked us for 2 years because of that show.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
because
That's fantastic.
we took the spot, that nobody wanted to take,
Yeah.
and they liked us, and they said, "Wow." So when the Butt Fest started, the Budweiser festivals,
Hmm.
we was on that sucker for 2 years,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and they was paying good money too. We was
Nice.
like, yeah. So that was an event that I really remember, you know,
Hmm.
that one. Yeah. I remember coming home playing at Cincinnati Stadium, uh, and for the Bud Fest,
Hmm.
and we had out Raid at that time,
Hmm.
and Raid was like, we was we had all the props. We drove all the way around the field waving at people. We had machine guns and old school Al Capone
Right.
cars, and that's how we drove into the stadium in,
Hmm.
in gangster cars. We
That's
went all the
crazy.
way around the field, and then parked at the edge of the stage and went up on stage. That was dope. I remember that
That's
event.
cool.
Yeah.
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 So
That's so awesome.
So to kind of caveat off of that, now you driving in as gangsters and everything, what made you change to the pirate uniforms?
we didn't decide that till our recording careers were basically over,
Okay. Hmm.
And now we out here, we had to fend for ourselves, right? And everything kind of went under. Um, Not because of us, because promoters wasn't calling us,
Hmm.
agents wasn't calling us, because
Right.
we had no new hot record out.
Well,
So,
wasn't that the time where the music was starting to change from that funk era more into
oh yeah,
the hip hop and rap time?
yeah, yeah, because our first electronic record was outrageous.
Hmm.
All the drum machines and stuff was
Right.
in,
Right.
and the record companies wouldn't pay for your
Hmm.
traditional recording
Right.
anymore because other people were getting smash hits with machines.
Mhm.
So they said, well, I'm saying. So that ended us being able to have real violins and all that
Oh,
kind of stuff,
wow.
you know. So uh, Otis and T-Mar, they didn't want to go through that again. I mean, they didn't like, well, none of us really like having to do mechanical music.
Right.
But see, Dick Griffey was Midnight Star had just got there, and they were winning with
Yeah.
it, with Freakazoid and all that
Take his
stuff.
way
Right.
down.
Right.
Yeah, they were winning, and so it made us like old school. So when we left Solar, we didn't really leave Solar. Solar was on the downside because if you
Hmm.
trace back the history, I mean, Midnight Star could have had a much longer recording career,
Hmm. Hmm.
but the record company itself was folding at that point, not just us,
Right.
you know, because they had made a deal with Elektra that wasn't the best deal in the world.
Right.
RCA was the ones that really got us all the hits.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so once he switched over to Elektra, nobody got any hits anymore. Not really,
Wow.
you know. So that was that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we floating around doing nothing, and we was looking for a way for us to keep playing. So LL Cool J fired his whole band right before an award show. And so they was looking for a band. And his light man used to be with us. And he said, hey man, uh, LL looking for a band. Y'all feel like doing the American Music Awards? And we was like, what? Really? Oh yeah. And so
Interesting. Nice.
we went to rehearsals and stuff, and
Hmm.
we ended up playing with LL, and then it stretched out. We ended up doing the BET. We ended up doing.
I
We didn't
did
do.
see that one. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
We did Grammys. I mean, we did. I'm talking about with LL. We did
Oh,
Hmm.
Ella. Okay.
yeah, the award shows. We were
Hmm.
doing. Then we went on tour with it. You know, so for about almost a year, we
Uh-huh.
were behind them.
Nice. Nice.